So you tell us, what does Shakespeare mean to you?
To me, Shakespeare represents the face of English. We can't call ourselves English students unless we've done Shakespeare. It's amazing how all that he writes is so insightful into that time period, but is so relevant to today too.
He brings charisma and life to the plays which are otherwise drab, and I think that's a very good characteristic that he has.
So much of our language which we use now is, we owe a lot to Shakespeare. A lot of what we speak has been influenced by him.
He has captured the elegance of that language and he has portrayed it in a really beautiful way. I think language is the window to communication, and learning this kind of literature really helps in our communication skills.
And what I like about his writing is that many of his incorporations in his plays and his poems can still relate to us, although they were written more than 400 years ago, and that's something significant that sticks out.
Shakespeare's writing is just so full of drama that it just appeals a lot to the dramatic side of your personality.
I think the way he puts forth all his work is really well done because we can relate to it even now. Apart from that, the metaphors and the devices that he uses, like, I really enjoy looking into it, because when you look at it once and you read it for the second time, you can see there's so many connections that aren't just the literal meaning. There's so much more meaning to it, you know, like you can look into it and it's deep.
Shakespeare is like, the thing that's really interesting about him is that when he writes, hundreds of years ago, and you read it today, even though the English language is different of how he writes it, the actual meanings and how people act are actually the same. And I just find it interesting how, despite all the education we get, despite all this rules of society, we still act the same as we did 300 years ago. It's like one of the few authors, you only have a few authors where when you read the book a second time, it's actually interesting. You actually gain more from it the second time than just reading the same thing you already know. Like, I think Harry Potter books have that quality where people read them 7 times over. And I think besides J.K. Rowling, Shakespeare's the only other author out there, which I've read multiple times and actually enjoy it every time.